Today we're gonna have a look at a professional match of StarCraft 2, and what I've got for you is a Terran versus Zerg on Thunderbird LE. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner of the map and playing with the red Terran SCVs. From South Korea, we are looking inside of the main base of Bunny. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Zerg drones from South Korea as well, we have none other than Solar. So here we go. Now, I mentioned this pretty recently in a YouTube video. I really want to start focusing on some of the quote-unquote lesser-known pro gamers. And I don't really want to, say that neither of these two players is well-known. I mean, obviously, Solar in particular, he's been around for many years and he's had some insane successes. But there's no denying that 2018 and 2019, they have been slower years for him. So his best result in 2019 was getting a second place at Assembly Summer versus Stats in the Grand Finals. I mean, Stats in that tournament actually ended up defeating Serral as well. It's one of the only series that Serral already lost this year so far. But there's no denying that while Solar is very, very good, and actually on Alugalek, he's the rank 5 in the world, which is pretty ridiculous. Still, I feel like not a lot of people are talking about him. So it's once again time to put a bit of a spotlight on this Zerg. Couple of years ago, back in I would say 2014, 2015 or so is when he really started making a name for himself. Not just because of his incredible Zerg gameplay, but also because he's one of the few Koreans that actually speaks fluent English. So he started doing a lot of the English interviews and whatnot after tournament victories, and obviously that immediately, helps you put a bit of a character, I suppose, to a player, right? I mean, oftentimes a lot of the Korean interviews, they go through a translator, and while that does work, obviously, you don't nearly get as much personality as if someone is actually talking a language that you can understand. So Solar, because of that, always a fan favorite. I'm personally a big fan of this guy as well. I actually got to meet him a couple of times at Home Story Cup. Super nice dude, and well, very, very good when it comes to playing with the Zerg pieces. Bunny, on the other hand, he never really had the craziest of craziest results. I don't think he actually ever won a premier event in his career. He probably won a couple of the minor tournaments and maybe a couple of the weekly and monthly tournaments as well, but he's actually really, really good. So his best result in 2019 was a GSL Code S top 8 finish. Arguably speaking, outside of maybe BlizzCon, the best or the hardest tournament in StarCraft. So there's no denying that this man is very, very good. We just, have to see what he's gonna look like a couple years from now as well. He's been around for a very long time, actually. As we'll be making a video on Alugalek, he is ranked number 44 in the world, although I don't really know exactly if that's accurate. It feels to me, at the very least, like the games that I've casted of him in the past, it feels to me that he is better than that. There's a pretty clear difference between these top-level players, and I mean, he really feels like he should rank amongst them as well, but obviously there can only be so many in the top 20. Regardless, we'll see what Bunny is what he's gonna pull out of this game. I mean, I was gonna make a joke about pulling a rabbit out of a hat, but that would be that would be too easy. Lowko, don't do it. That's way too easy. You know what? That's an extremely quick third command center. He decided to actually also now go for a second barracks. Very cool. So this is already a little bit of a mix-up right here from Bunny. So it's gonna be a reactor and a tech lab. Not something we normally see. So it's only off of a single refinery at this point in the game. He is going to be able to get himself the Hellions out at a regular time. So that's not really going to, I guess, let an alarm bell go off inside of the mind of Solar. Solar, by the way, doing everything completely out of the ordinary. But this is certainly going to allow him to get a pretty quick Stimpack upgrade and then maybe transition towards, I don't know, maybe a Hellbat Marine Stimpack timing push? We'll have to keep an eye out right here on exactly what he's planning to do. There's no denying, though, that this third command center is fast. So to put it in perspective, in a quote-unquote regular game, and actually this Zerking Scout could be big. Ooh. In a regular game, this third command center starts up at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. So right now it's done, right? At 4:20. So it's definitely a very, very quick command center. It may very well be due to the fact that we do find ourselves on Thunderbird. Thunderbird has this, I just kicked my microphone, sorry. It has this really big ramp that leads into the natural and then also into the third. And while there are some rocks right over here or some mineral patches that you have to worry about, they're not really going to be something that you have to be too concerned of in the earlier stages of this game, because, I mean, Zerg is not going to bring a couple of drones over here. There's been actually a couple of Zerg players that have been doing that, especially against Protoss, where they go for like a big Zergling influx, and then if Protoss is walled on the top of this ramp rather than over here, they can just simply run into the natural and kill him. But it's been a relatively uncommon strategy, and I don't think that it's really something that's all too good either. Double evolution chamber right now, in the meantime, on the side of Zerg. Solar actually mining out the mineral patches right now that I was talking about that are mirrored on the other side of the map as well. Huh. So, most of the time, we see Zerg players taking their 4th base right over here on the low ground. Not the case here. I wonder why he does this. Maybe this allows him to mine out these resources as well, and then mine from the double high Vespian gases over here in the center of the map. But I mean, if Terran still decides to take their 4th over here, I mean, you're gonna be, yeah, no, that's not gonna happen, right? Like, you're gonna be way too close to them. In a way, this is like expanding towards the Terran player, which is odd because you're actually expanding like horizontally, but it's just that with the map layout, unless Terran decides to take their base on the right-hand side over here too. Anyways, there's gonna be a big push. This is that push that I was talking about earlier. This does have Stimpak, and there are indeed Hellbats. So very interesting engagement. At the 6-minute mark, this is still very soon. Zerglings right now wrapping around all of those Hellbats. Not quite something that you want to do. Baelings managed to get a decent enough connection, but nothing to write home about either. Good splits right there by Buddy on creep, and with a very unorthodox build, he actually deals quite a bit of damage here on the other side of the map. Cool stuff. Now, normally, right, you've probably heard me talk about these kind of pushes in the past, and I'm not too fond of it, even with the exact same units. Normally, that would not be the greatest trait if it wasn't for the fact that there was also a 3rd command center of the on the back of this, right? I mean, if this 3rd CC wasn't here and it was just a regular delayed 3rd command center, I mean, delayed in comparison to this one, I don't think this push would have been that great. But right now, he's forcing a lot of units out of Zerg, which in its effect alone already reduces the amount of workers that are available. He's going to be able to go toe-to-toe right now with the worker count in drones, right, or SCVs to drones. I mean, that's really, really good here for Terran. Cool stuff. Really nice. Another advantage of this is that he's still actually going to be okay when it comes to these upgrades. They are delayed, as you can see right here. So the upgrades for Zerg on the right-hand side of the map, or of the right-hand side of the screen, they are finishing in just a couple of seconds. But I mean, it's not going to be that crazy. There's going to be about I would say like I don't know, maybe a 40 or so second timing window where Zerg is going to have an advantage. But considering Zerg needs a hive to go up to 3-3, I don't think for 3-3 it's going to be that big of a deal. +2/+2 starts up here immediately for Solar, and I think this siege tank is a little bit overextended. That one is going to be picked off, and while the creep ends over here too, so Zerg is going to have to be backing off. I don't see Bunny dealing a whole lot more damage here on the left-hand side. Now, I guess when you take the expansion over here, right, if you're a Zerg, you can still take this as your 5th base too, and then maybe this one as your 6th. It does allow you to get the creep going really aggressively in this area of the map. Not really something we see all too often, but I kind of like it, to be honest. I'm just a little bit worried once this 4th base lands over here, it creates like a really beautiful anchor for the Terran player to continuously push in for, or push in from, and I think that's exactly what Bunny is thinking of here as well. Already clearing out some of the creep that leads on over to this location. Although, you know what? Solar is mining out these mineral patches, so maybe he is planning on going for that base over there. Very cool. Now, I don't see a hive tech anywhere yet. There is that infestation pit. But he's not going to go, like, he's not going to be able to go immediately into, actually a Widowmine drop over here. Couple of drones do go down. He's not going to be able to go immediately into the 3-3 upgrades, is what I was going to say, right when 2-2 finishes. Couple of drones picked off, but nothing really too crazy here either. But what this does mean is that Terran right now is going to be able to secure that 4th command center mostly uncontested. Good crew spread here, though. Even though Bunny has been pretty active here, denying it for quite some time. He certainly is still... Oh my god, that Widowmine is going to get another shot. There it is. Oh man. Good splits here, actually. I feel like that did more damage to the Marines than the Zerglings. Anyways, he has been clearing out the creep quite nicely, but Solar is also replacing those tumors almost immediately, right? It's like you knock off one head of the snake and 3 new ones immediately come out. This time around in the sense of missile turrets now. Or of creep tumors, rather, now. There are quite a lot of Terran units over here at the 4th base of Zerg, but Solar really uncontested when it comes to the economy for the most part in this game, but he's really not able to do a whole lot of counter-aggression either. Still, this time around, Bunny does not get the quick pickup on that one. But he has been putting together his army in much bigger numbers right here. Look at this force. So this is going to be the first big push here from the Terran player. 2-2 is going to finish up in a little bit. Maybe this push is actually a little bit too soon, though. You really want to wait until 2-2 is done, I think. I mean, right now there's 2 upgrades as an advantage here for Solar. That means that these Lings and Banes are going to have a much easier time, but there's a massive minefield. All of those Marines and Marauders load up into those Medivacs. And, well, that's a lot of dead Zerglings. That was a lot of dead Zerg right there. Whew. Very risky move to make, by the way. It's very, very easy to accidentally, like, draw all of that missile fire, I suppose, from those Widow Mines over your Bioforce as well. Or accidentally blow up your own Medivacs with it. By the way, as you may have already seen me highlight, there is an Ultralisk Cavern coming up, and there's also, indeed, a Nidus network. So the Nidus network is going to be a little bit annoying. Now, once again, some incredible multi-pronged harass here from Bunny. Really forcing and taxing the multitasking of Solar. Nicely done so far. Once again, gets 8 drone kills. Viper available right now, too. Doesn't look like it's good energy for anything, though. Nidus Worm instead of the main base. You need to clean that one up. It's really critical. You need to clean that up. Look at all the Zerglings. Okay, the Zerglings were ready to go. But good response there from Bunny. Another Nidus Worm right now over at the 3rd base instead. This does mean that the 5th base of Zerg is going to be in a little bit of trouble. Good splits once again. Really wavering out all of those Terran units. But is there going to be enough right now to shut down this Nidus Worm? I do not think so. But yeah, I don't think Solar is paying attention to it either. He's very busy defending at home. Actually unloaded the Worm as well to try and use those Zerglings to defend his 5th expansion instead. Here are these Vipers. He needs to hold on to this 5th base. It's absolutely critical because otherwise he starts falling behind. Parasitic Bombs, great splits there by Bunny. Manages to get rid of all of those Medivacs that are affected without accidentally killing his own army. But once again, where are the Overseers? The Overseers are just not here, and that means that these Widow Mines are going to be able to get multiple shots off. That Widow Mine right there, though, did connect with the friendly Medivac too. A couple of those units do fall, but Bunny is just happily parade pushing through the center of the map. Look at this. 5th Command Center also now flying on over to the base to the right of the 3rd of Terran. Ultralisk are coming up, though. That's going to make this significantly easier for Zerg. Did Chitinous Plating already finish? It did not, actually, so hold that thought, because I don't know, actually, if it's going to be much easier. Slowly but surely, this hatchery is taking more and more damage. The creep really not allowed to spread very far anymore either. Once again, beautiful splits there from Bunny, really trying to negate a lot of that damage from those Banelings, and he does it again. Widow Mines burrowed right at the perfect time. Unburrowed again at the perfect time too. There's that Ultralisk. It still can deal a tremendous amount of damage, but it falls very easily when it does not have its full armor upgrades. That's why the Queens have been pulled away from their hatcheries too. Trying to transfuse some of these Ultras too. But guys, I see a bunch of Widow Mines. There is now an Overseer available, so that Overseer is going to be very critical. If they get another shot off, goodbye to this Zerg force. The hatchery is still alive though, and I mean, it's like he's pulling a bunny out of a hat. Can I make the joke now? It's like he's pulling a bunny out of a hat, okay? He did manage to keep that base alive. Whew. Okay. Ooh, man. So many dead units constantly here. That was about as much dead Zerg as it was Terran. Ooh, Parasitic Bomb does kill one of those Medivacs. Reinforcing Terran units. I mean, it looks like the rally point is still set on the other side of the map. Finally, Solar manages to stabilize. He can breathe again for just a little bit, although, I mean, he does, and the Viper dies. No, it doesn't. Never mind. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So much damage. There is that scream of the worm on the left-hand side of the map, but I don't really see how Solar could split off any units from this side of the map towards that Nidus Worm. I mean, even then, there's a planetary fortress over there. What are you going to do about it? There's another planetary right now acquired over at the 5th base location. Nidus Worm once again coming up over at the 3rd base. This is a much easier to harass location. But look at this. While all of the aggression is going on, yeah, Buddy didn't kill the base, but he traded pretty efficiently there. He took a great set of kills there on all of those Zerg units. And he's now transitioning towards a fusion core and advanced ballistics. We all know the strength of Liberators with ranged in the late game, right? And they're especially good when it comes to those big, beefy Zerg units, like, for example, those Ultralisks. That's why we do already have the Corruptors, and also those Vipers in the mix are going to be very critical. But this is still not really something that Zerg can feel too comfortable about. Great set of moves so far, though, from Bunny, but I mean, this is the moment where he's giving Zerg quite a bit of wiggle room, right? And you do that, and I can guarantee you that the creep is going to start spreading in every single direction. So it's time for him to get back out onto the map. Oh my god. How did... It's time for him to get back out onto the map and start delaying that creep once again and removing as much of that as possible. Well, that hatchery starts, but I don't really see it happening. There's those Liberators joining in as well. All of the Zerg units right now moving on over towards this base on the left-hand side. Look at those Widow Mines and look at those Liberators. This is not an army you can easily run into. Instead, though, Solar's gonna try anyway. He does have those beefy Ultralisks, and they just simply run through the Liberation Zones. Yeah, they get softened up a little bit, but now the Liberators get picked up too, and since Bunny was mostly on creep by that army, he now actually gets pushed back. Still, though, a lot of reinforcing Terran units also available. At the same time, there's a drop on the right-hand side of the map too. Bunny fighting on multiple prongs of this map, and he's really trying to get as much value as possible. 10 drones go down in the blink of an eye, and this now opens up once again the opportunity for the army on the left to go in. Man, the multitasking here. Ah, that's so many drones going down. A couple of Zerglings were attack moved over here, but 19 drones go down, and while these Marines will not be able to make their way home, that was still a worthwhile trade anyway. They don't even know what's gonna happen here in the future of this war between the Terran and the Zerg, but he made the call already. Sacrificing their life. They're true heroes of the Terran Dominion. Now, even though there's already one good counter available here for those Ultralisks, a second one is never a bad idea. Usually, after we see those Ultras, we will see a switch as well to watch either Brute Lords or Infestors, right? And that's where these Ghosts come into play. Yeah, they're going to be decent against the Ultras, but they're going to be especially good against potential follow-ups that come after the Ultralisks as well. So there it is, Greater Spire right now on that production tab, but I mean, if this game continues the way it is, I don't really see exactly how long Solar is going to be able to, you know, stick around, right? Like, this is an insanely hyper-aggressive game so far by Bunny, playing macro in the early, like, I would say, like, 8 or so minutes of the game, but it's been non-stop aggression ever since. Now, this base over here is a good catch. This does mean that the Marines right now can move on over and potentially even snipe this hatchery. That hatchery is actually in a lot of trouble. I think you can target fire it down, to be honest. Yeah, he's going to try. He's going to try maybe a little bit late. The Zerglings are going to try and see if they can potentially finish this off before the hatchery dies. Hatchery does live. That's also due to the fact that the focus here of the Terran is on the left-hand side of the map. Microing, of course, multiple different angles at once because that's what pro gamers do. That command center was denied, though. Instead, he's going to now try his luck right here over on the left-hand side. And I don't really see how Zerg is going to deny that one. Zerg, though, trying to set up a surround right now. Lings and Banes trying to come from every angle, but that huge Widow Mine hit on the northern section of this fight. Beautiful anticipation right there from Bunny. He manages to get a lot of kills on a lot of these units at the same time. Once again, there's a Widow Mine. Oh god, that Widow Mine dealing a bunch of damage too, and that's actually an annoying one to get rid of. Nukes right now also added into the mix. This forces the Zerg to just simply get out of here, and it now opened up the opportunity here for Terran to kill that hatchery. So the nuke will land. This is mostly just to force the Zerg away. Really only a single creep tumor was killed, but this is critical because not only did the base get killed, another base was acquired here on the left-hand side of the map. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 base Terran right now, going up against 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 base Zerg. Now, obviously, this expansion was mostly mined out, so I think that Zerg would expand next. Like, where to? Over here? Over here? Like, where are you gonna go? Where are you gonna fight right now if you're the Zerg player? I don't know exactly where you're gonna expand to, and where you really want to engage. The best spot to engage right now for Zerg is right over here, but that's a very difficult location to get into, because Bunny essentially, like, he created these anchors, right, on this map. So if you look at the map, there's an anchor right over here that defends the northern section, there's an anchor right over here that defends the center part, and then this base over here, you don't want to fight that either. So he is gonna try and take the hatch over here, but that is such an easy point to attack for this Terran. He's been doing a phenomenal job just simply staying toe-to-toe here with the Zerg. Once again, good splits here. Lings and Banes and a couple of Ultras. Trying to get the most out of this, but once again, not really a fight you'd necessarily want to take. There are a few Infestors into the mix right now, but most importantly, there are the Brute Lords. Solar right now, though, only at 170-ish supply. Completely broke. Terran is nearly maxed out. A couple of supply from maxed out, and he's actually starting to develop a bit of a bank. Purposefully not maxing out yet. Right now, adding in those Vikings instead to start laying down a little bit of counter pressure there to those Brute Lords. Very difficult to micro army though on both sides. So even though, yeah, I would say Terran is ahead right now, this is still definitely an army that the Zerg can win with if there's a little bit of miscontrol. There we go. Liberators get picked off with relative ease. A lot of Banelings go down there as well. At the same time, there's a nuke right now that's being shot over. And there's another Lady Ghost moving on over to this expansion too. That's gonna be 2 ghosts that are trying to land nukes while this fight is happening. And I don't see what's gonna save this hatchery. The base does indeed take a lot of damage. Another nuke coming up for the potential of a second hatchery. This one also lands. A couple of the units that were still inside of those cocoons were killed as well. At the same time, Solar pushes into this planetary fortress. If he can kill this base, that would be huge because it allows him to then push onwards towards the juicy underbelly of that Terran player, and he does manage to shut down the planetary fortress as well, reinforcing Terran units right now coming from that main base towards the left-hand side of this engagement. Those Brute Lords very exposed, and while the Corruptors are busy fighting a couple of Medivacs, they really need to be utilized right here to kill those Vikings instead. That's exactly what happens. But still, Solar, he doesn't have a lot of economy anymore. He really is trying to make the most of the army that he's got, and Terran is still reinforcing. Still though, Bunny, gotta be careful too. The Zerglings actually run now into that natural, but I think that may have been intended. Bunny just simply standing his ground there, utilizing this space between the reactor and that other supply depot as like a semi-wall over there too. The Medivacs just simply healing so much. The base here on the left though is an absolute gold mine. Really, really, really critical. Without this expansion, that would be a lot of trouble. Now keep in mind, the base here in the center of the map was also taken, and Solar now actually has some new fresh resources to mine. He's really doing a great job. He's trying to come back into this game, right? He's been in a lot of pressure. I would say this is the first time in quite a while where he really can once again try and claw himself back into it. He's got a little bit of wiggle room. He created some space for himself. Those Brute Lords require special attention to deal with, but it's not gonna take Terran that long to muster up a new fighting force. Buddy though has to be careful, right? Like if this next fight doesn't work, this base is gonna mine out, and he's gonna need a new expansion. Maybe he should try and take this one over here, but that would be a difficult one as well. Okay. I would love to see the addition of a couple of infestors at this point. I understand that there's not a lot of gas, but that second Risk Vespian geyser could be huge. Shut over here, or this drop right over here on the left-hand side does get shut down. The bottom left, that is. Oh, here's the Widowmine drop. Here's the Widowmine drop. He's not paying attention. 7 drones go down. There's not a lot of workers anymore here for Zerg. Yeah, he actually is forced to now remake those drones. Not really something you necessarily want to do at this point in the game. So that Zergling actually now spots as well that Terran is trying to secure the expansion. Okay, that Medivac will pay for this with its life. Widowmines get picked up too, but this now does allow Terran to start the slow push. That entire Zerg army here, completely out of position. This is actually a really important fight. If this fight fails, Bunny is in trouble. If this fight works, however, Zerg is out of money. Here we go. Vikings try to get something useful. Are there still any Vipers? Yeah, there's like 1 or 2 Vipers, I think, still remaining. Really important. But that is a massive amount of Corruptors, actually. They really do allow those Brute Lords to get some damage in. There's only 3 Brute Lords, but you can't really line up the snipes very easily here. Once again, Liberation Zones being utilized there as well. We see Parasitic Bomb going off too. Bunny splitting off that wounded Viking immediately. Zerg right now, though, moving off creep. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of that. I think you need to stay on creep here and really only try and fight when you absolutely have to. Solar loses a lot of the Corruptors to the Marines, and with Bunny shooting those units out of the sky, the Zerg army is gone. And that means that Bunny is the one who obtains the victory. Excellent game there between both of these players. It got very close there near the ending, right? I mean, if Zerg would have kept those couple of infestors alive, and he would have also, I think he made a few infestors, right? If he would have at the very least had a few infestors there near the end, and maybe like another Viper or 2, which is what, for example, Sarah would have probably been able to do, that late game fight there would have looked very differently. Imagine like, I don't know, like 2-3 infestors with fungal growth, and like 1 more Viper with parasitic bomb in the mix. That could 100% change the tide of that battle. Really sick game though by Bunny, just simply stressing his opponent's multitasking to the max, And, well, that was definitely a well-deserved victory. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile alright, and I will see you once again in the next one.